about politics. It's about football.
This is a simple game.
We're going to run the ball, and we're going to pass the ball. We're just going to play football, really.
How good of a football player are you?
I just get in and try to spin it. That's all.
I just love the game.
It really is the best time of the year.
What up, everybody? Welcome back to the It's Just Football set. Just realized the screen was closer, so the second I looked up, I hadn't noticed it, and that kind of
blinded you?
I was just a little taken back. I was a little taken back here. The energy on the show already starting off intense, right in your face. What's up to everybody who's watching the show at home in the chat? Appreciate you guys watching our last show of the week here on a Friday. I am Trevor Sikkema. That is Mike Renner. Mike, how we feeling? I saw the arms flailing. I saw the energy up right before we went live.
Yeah, we'll be at, excited because we're going to be at the UC football game tonight on the sidelines as they take on East Carolina. It's just football. Takes on UC.
It's going to be a good game.
Yeah.
It's going to be a good game. UC, I think it's going to be close. It's going to be down to the wire. Hopefully it stops raining, to be honest, because it's raining here in, as Austin Gale would say, sunny, beautiful Cincinnati.
Sunny Cincinnati.
It's always sunny. I just can't not say that even when it is raining. We got a lot of things that we're getting to in this jam-packed show. We're putting out the bat signal for a couple of players that we want to see this upcoming week that really need to step up. Going to give you our key matchups for the week. Something between two teams that we're really looking forward to. A head coach versus a head coach, coordinator, player, a secondary versus a wide receiver group, something. Our biggest matchups going into week 10 of the NFL season. We're, of course, going to have Ian Hartitz on as we do to give you your fantasy advice every single week here on a Friday. And a lot more good stuff. Who knows what's going to happen here in this jam-packed hour of It's Just Football. Let's get to the production portal. Get to Quinn. Get to Stone. Get to Saab. Get to Eli. Fellas, how we doing on this wonderful Friday?
Who's going to be the first one to make a tackle tonight at the game? Like, out of us.
Oh. I mean, Mike, when he tackles Stone out of nowhere because he's so hyped up, that's what's going to happen. We're going to be like an hour and a half to pregame. Stone's just going to be sitting there enjoying a nice bottle of water, and Mike's going to come out of nowhere like his playing days and just get after him.
You're the one who took the shot at the Shrine Bowl on the sideline.
I still have the scar to prove it.
Yeah.
I can't lift my leg that high, but I got a nice little scar on my shin from a cleat that I got.
I'm pretty sure we still have that footage. We'll have to dig that up on
somewhere. That's one of my finer moments. Dude, the random NFL players in the chat, they were great this morning. I said Dante Hall. You said Lace Seastrunk.
Yeah.
What a pull.
He was not in the NFL long, though, but he was more of a college star.
Yeah, but he was fun.
He was fun to watch.
Super athletic, strong dude. I thought he was going to make it. I really did.
I'm surprised.
Cole said Rex Grossman. We got Quell with a Kevin Cobb pull. DT Dynasty, Kyle Arrington. The Burning Ham, Dave Brown. If you guys are new to the show, what we do is you literally just fire off a random NFL player's name. That's how we start the show. That's how we start the pre-show. Gets us hyped up, gets us in the football mood. Quinn, what is the question of the day here to get us started on Friday?
Yeah, Cowboys-Packers this weekend. So, Mike, this one's kind of geared for you. But Cowboys and Packers have met 37 times in history, including the postseason. How many games have the Packers won?
This is a great question. And it's a great question because I have no fucking clue, right? It's just a random number. I don't know. I'm guessing here. You think it's above 50%?
They've won a lot. Of late. The Packers have had the Cowboys number of late, I will say that. Back in the 90s, not as much, I don't believe.
Sure, right. Cowboys, very stout in the 90s.
I'd say somewhere in the low 20s. Like, I'd say 21. 21-16. Yeah, there you go. I'll say 21.
All right, so 18 and a half would be halfway on this one, right? That's how math works. That is how math works. All right, so you're saying low 20s. What are you going with, like 22? 23?
21.
Okay, you went with 21. TJ's going 22. Nathan's going 22. DT's going 25. Brandon's going 28. Austin's going 23. Patrick 24.
28's a great guess. Love that. Higher. Well, we can go higher.
Well, that's my future brother-in-law right there. So you love to guess.
Oh, is it? Oh,
yeah.
Hey.
No, it actually is. Shout out to my future brother-in-law, Brandon Lang. Big Trev, who isn't me. 16.
Oh, hater. Get him out. Kick him out the chat.
It's a little low. Trevor says 0.
Okay, well.
Quell says, who the hell knows this? Quell, that's the point. You're supposed to make an educated guess.
Trivia.
And this trivia. You make an educated guess, and then when you're right, you get to tell people, I told you. I was right all along.
Well, and then on Sunday, you can drop it as if you never watched the show. You'd be like, hey, the Packers are 28-9 all time against the Cowboys.
That's true. You can
You'll
go to
sound like the smartest man at your house.
Absolutely.
Your wife and kids.
Smartest person yesterday was Zach Pearson, our chat champ. I don't know if I see Zach in the chat yet, but Zach knows that when you win chat champ, you're contractually obligated to come back the next day. So I'm sure we'll see him at some point. He's got to represent the chat. We got a lot of really great segments today, so we want to hear from you guys as well. Bat signal, player matchups, all kinds of good stuff. Before we dig into it, we're going to get into the bat signal real quick. But our friends over at Bro Throw are sponsoring the Bro Throw Throwdown every single Friday. It is a really cool peer-to-peer betting system where it's as simple as this. Mike and I are sitting up on this desk. We maybe look at a line. We go, hey, you know what? I think the Bucks are going to beat the Seattle Seahawks this week. And Mike goes, no, they're not. Bet you $5. And we go, all right, deal. Now you take that, make it worldwide. You can make that kind of a deal with anybody in the world. It's not juiced by the books, so you don't have to bet $11 to win $10. Just straight up, you betting against somebody else. It's a lot of fun. So go to brothrow.com/PFF, I think, is what it is. Is it /PFF? I think it's PFF.
Correct.
I don't think it's just football. /PFF. You can get in the group just for this show, and you can place bets so everybody else who listens to the show in the chat here on the desk, the production guys, any of us can take your bet. Would love for you guys to head to the website. You can see it right now. That's exactly what it looks like, brothrow.com/PFF. Place a bet. Just place a bet. It could be an over-under. Could be against the spread. Whatever it is, place a bet, and we're going to revisit it at the end of the show. Maybe Mike and I, one of us is going to take your bet. Throw some ched your way. Take the bet. So we'll revisit that at the end of the show. But go check it out, brothrow.com. Get inside the group and have a little fun betting putting a little skin in the game with everybody who's in the chat as well as everybody who's here on the show. Mike, let's do Bat Signal. I want to do Bat Signal right away here on the show. It's a segment that we love to do. It's a reoccurring segment because we get to dim the lights. We get to have a lot of fun here. And we get a lot of cool graphics with it too. But essentially, this is us shouting out a player. Guy needs to step up. Guy needs to step up for his team.
Did not know we had that coming.
Oh yeah, you were out last Friday when we.
I forgot we had it. I had the same reaction last week. I laughed so hard.
We need to do the whole segment in the Batman voice now, right? We have to now. I'm kidding.
Which Batman voice?
There's only one. It's Christian Bale. There's only one Batman.
I actually liked the new Batman.
Yeah, new one's fine, but it doesn't hold the candle to the old one.
New one is
just don't treat your production crew like Christian Bale treats his production crew. That's all I ask.
Tyler's just feverishly nodding his head. All right, Mike, who's your first bat signal? Who do you want to show up this week?
I'm sending my first bat signal out to none other than Cameron Jordan of the New Orleans Saints. He has a career-low 58.1 pass rushing grade, lower than his rookie year now. No. Getting after the quarterback, 73.8 run defense grade, his lowest since 2015. And this was kind of the worry, right, about their all-in strategy, is that it hinged on the highly paid guys. They're kind of franchise cornerstones, playing like franchise cornerstones. And so one of your franchise cornerstones starts playing like a below-average pass rusher. They're not getting after opposing quarterbacks. The defense has taken a massive step back, despite obviously Dennis Allen still being in the fold there, and that's probably not the side of the ball you would expect to take a step back when Sean Payton leaves. Fortunately, he has obviously been decimated by some injuries on the back end, but Cameron Jordan not helping a lot of things out there. 33 years old, bat signal, he may not be answering to it anymore. He may be hitting snooze on the bat signal because at that age, sometimes it just goes quickly.
Are you lashing out because he was the answer for the career sacks earlier this week?
No. Love Cameron Jordan. I love Cameron Jordan. I would like him to bounce back, but fortunately it's just
truly been one of the most consistent players, I think, in the NFL over the last decade, a little bit more than that even. And you're right, maybe Father's Time's catching up to him a little bit, but I'd love to see a little bit of a resurgence from him. No doubt.
So in 11 years in his career, he has played 10,912 snaps. That is fucking insane. 1,000 snaps a year for an entire career.
As a trench player.
You don't see that.
Has he missed a game?
He has. I think last year was the first time it was COVID, right?
Yes.
That he was forced to miss a game.
Damn.
Yeah.
Okay, well, COVID adjusted. He's an Iron Man. In my eyes, the streak still lives on.
Yeah.
In my eyes, the streak still lives on.
That's how you end up with more sacks than Justin Houston.
That's how you stump us here on the desk, because that's what happened earlier this week. My first bat signal, near and dear to my heart, it's Mike Evans. Mike, come on, my guy. He has been, speaking of Mr. Consistent, 7 1,000-yard seasons in a row to start his career. No other wide receiver has done it. It doesn't matter whether it's been Jameis Winston or Ryan Fitzpatrick or Tom Brady or at times Blaine Gabbert. It doesn't matter who it has been. Mike Evans has been an absolute steady producer for this Buccaneers offense, but this year, it's not what it needs to be. There's a lot of things going wrong with the Buccaneers, but unfortunately, Evans is one of those issues right now. 72.1 receiving grade, which if the season were to end right now, that would be his career low. He's got 5 drops, which doesn't put him on pace for his career low in drops, but it would be second most in drops. Then 84.6 catchable passes caught. I mean, Mike's normally sitting around the high 80s, early, low 90s when you get to that kind of a statistic. So, man, especially over the last couple of weeks, we all saw the big dropped touchdown pass against the Carolina Panthers. But even last week against the Rams, handful of drop passes, just uncharacteristic stuff from Mike Evans. He has been their hero so many times before. Sending the bat signal out for him. He needs to step up in a big way against the Seahawks this weekend.
Yeah, and obviously Chris Godwin not looking like the Chris Godwin pre-ACL is hurting that as well.
Sure.
You know, not having that someone to take the pressure off of him has also hurt Mike Evans in that offense. But yeah, I agree. He's only 29. You know, he's not age is not at that age. You should be in your prime still. So I'm going to go to a wide receiver as well.
Okay, who you got?
Another big name guy, Deebo Samuel, fresh off a big contract. And I get that he's been hampered by hamstring injury and started off very slow with Trey Lance. That was not a pairing that was going to do him any favors in the passing game. But Deebo Samuel, 7 games this season, back healthy right now, practicing this week, missed the last couple games. But in those 7 games, 386 yards, career low in yards per route run so far, 1.79. 4 drops on 35 catchable. Now, hands have never been his thing. But talent's still there. I still believe. It's just this 49ers offense could reach high highs. They have that caliber of talent at the skill position right now to put up points on anybody. But Deebo Samuel's got to show up and got to be that guy. You got to have the threat on the outside, or else the checkdowns to McCaffrey, the over-the-middle stuff, George Kittle, ain't going to work as well as it should.
I'm not worried about that.
Not worried. Yeah, not worried.
Not worried at all. But it would. That's a good call out. We would love to see a big time Deebo game this upcoming weekend. I think that would mean a lot.
And also say with Christian McCaffrey in the fold now, he doesn't have to carry that workload of I got to run it and I got to be the receiver. He can just focus on being the receiver. You're probably not going to want to give him 10 carries a game like they were at times last season.
Going to the chat now, some early bat signals from you guys. TJ says Bakhtiari is pissing me off. He wants the bat signal out there for Bakhtiari.
Such a weird situation.
They're still rotating him.
Yeah,
right?
Misses a whole year, has surgery again this offseason. Supposedly he's fine, plays a full game, and then the next game he's playing half splitting snaps. And the next game it's a full game, then he's not even in the starting lineup, and then they're throwing him passes in the red zone because, of course, throw it to the guy whose knee won't hold up, make him run down the football field. But I digress.
Hopeful Lions fan says my fantasy team needs Gabe Davis to show up, so the bat signal out there for Gabe Davis. Sean says Taylor Heineke. Okay, all right. Taylor Heineke could show. Taylor Heineke thinks he is Batman, so I think that's well within the realm of reason. Quell said Marlon Tuipulotu and Marvin Wilson. Bat signals out there. Jordan Davis is going to miss a month. They keep playing like they were while he's gone. Eagles won't be undefeated when he gets back. They need to stop the run. Nathan, shout out to Najee Harris. We talked about that earlier this week. Najee definitely needs to show. You don't have Najee on your list, do you?
No, because
okay. But
he was on my list
of
players who people thought were good, but actually wasn't good.
Oh, man, no, it's not great. Sean also said Stafford. Stafford's got to. Alfie also agreeing that Stafford's got to be a pick here. Stafford definitely has to step up his game for sure. Okay, the next one for me. This is one that I also saw in the chat. It's an obvious one, but I got to say it. Mr. Unlimited. Russell Wilson, man. It's time. All right? We all made the jokes. We got off to a slow start in the year. They lost to the Seahawks in embarrassing fashion. It didn't get better after that. We fired off the should Nathaniel Hackett get fired after year 1, okay? We've made our jokes. Halfway through the season is over. It's time to step up. It's time to be the football player that you were signed to be for the Denver Broncos. When you look at Russell Wilson's stats this year, 61.7 passing grade, career low. 3.7% big-time throw percentage, career low. 68.3 adjusted completion percentage, career low. 78.5 quarterback rating. You guessed it, career low. Russ hasn't played this poorly ever. It's time to turn it around. All right? We got the memes off. We got the jokes off. We had our fun. It's time for Russell Wilson to play better again. I want to see him play good this week.
And it's necessary because they're 3-5, but they're not out of it.
Not totally out.
Because they have the second best defense in the NFL right now in EPA per play against.
Yep.
We had that question yesterday. It was Patriots 1, Broncos 2. And even without Bradley Chubb, this is still a very formidable defense. They traded him because they have guys backing him up that they want to see the field that are legitimately starting caliber with what they've put on tape so far this season. So they are not out of it by any means. Even put an average offense on this with this defense throughout the first 8 games of the season, and they're completely different fortunes for this team. So, yeah, it is time. Russell Wilson better show the F up because they can still make noise. They can still make the playoffs if he looks like the Russell Wilson of old.
Yep.
But, boy, has it not been close this season.
All right, who's your last one? Last bat signal.
My last bat signal is going out to a guy on the Miami Dolphins in Raekwon Davis, nose tackle. We've been raving about the Dolphins' offense.
Right.
Rightfully so. This defense is about on the complete opposite end of the spectrum of this offense. They have taken a massive, massive step back. And obviously some of that's losing Brian Flores. He is a defensive, guru. You're not going to be able to replace him. But Raekwon Davis, second-round pick from 2 years ago. This was supposed to be a plug-and-play guy. I remember people in my mentions his rookie year saying to apologize for having him too low on the draft board after he had like 5 pressures against some backup guard. He's been awful. No sugarcoating it of late. 36.7 run defense grade. I believe he has only 2 run stops on the season. 2.2 run stop percentage is the second worst of any DT in the NFL. Only 5 pressures, just a complete non-factor there in the middle for a guy who, DT, if you draft in the top 75 picks, he was a 56 overall pick a few years back. That guy better be solid at a minimum. That is, DTs should not be that difficult a position to scout, but Raekwon Davis not doing much of anything then interior for the Dolphins.
I did not think the number was that low.
Yeah.
Man, I remember when he was at Alabama and people were talking about Raekwon Davis like he was like the greatest player of all. And like I liked Raekwon Davis, but I always felt like, he never really developed that pass rush profile, which is okay. Yeah. He was just a monster in the middle, but you got to be good at run defense, man.
And that's not.
And he's not. And he's definitely not. Going back to the chat, we got a couple of other ones here. Michael says Deontay Johnson wants Deontay Johnson to step up. Now that Chase Claypool is gone, of course. AC says needs skinny Batman to arrive this Monday, meaning Devontae Smith. Okay, there's a call out for him. Steven says Jeff Saturday. That's a decent one, which is a good segue into what I'm about to talk about. Jason shouting out Jonah Williams. Jonah Williams does need to come on. He's got to step up. He's got to play better. He's just straight up got to play better.
That one's great. Bad
last one for me. Kind of goes along Jeff Saturday lines, but my bat signal is for Derek Carr. Las Vegas Raiders are playing the Indianapolis Colts this weekend. They're playing the Colts with a completely depleted coaching staff, okay? They're playing at home. This has to not only be a win, it has to be a good performance from Derek Carr. When you look at Derek Carr's numbers this season, 65.5 passing grade, 3.8% turnover-worthy play percentage, 68.7 adjusted completion percentage. Those numbers are bad. The passing grade is a career low for Derek Carr, and here's the reason why he needs to show up and be a hero, not just for the Raiders organization, not just for the fans, not just for Devontae Adams' sanity, but he has a massive out in his contract this offseason. His cap hit jumps to $34 million this offseason, and it's only $5 million dead cap. They can absolutely move on from this guy. And if there is any team that the Raiders are going to play for the rest of their schedule that it feels like they're going to get a win, it's against the Jeff Saturday coached Indianapolis Colts. If Derek Carr cannot show up, we got massive problems, Mike. We are sending out the bat signal. This is almost like a last-ditch effort for Derek Carr, because if they drop this game and Carr looks bad, we're cooked, man. It's over.
That is the thing. I like that you brought up the contract there, because that's where, if you're a Raiders fan, your eyes have to be right now, is looking at that. Because when it was first reported, I thought it was, a normal extension, but more of it, when the details finally came out, it is a pay-as-you-go type of extension where they're agreeing on the money figures right now. But if they get rid of him, it's not like the Carson Wentz thing where it's going to be a huge stain on your salary cap and you're going to have to try to maneuver around. It's like, no, you can get rid of him pretty cheaply after the season. So obviously the pairing of Josh McDaniels, Derek Carr hasn't worked out yet. Unless things turn around the second half of the year, which one are you getting rid of?
Right, right.
Are you getting rid of Derek Carr,
right.
or are you getting rid of Josh McDaniels, the guy you just signed? So that's the thing that they're going to have to look out for. And the Broncos. I think the Broncos are pretty obvious. They have to get rid of Nathaniel Hackett because they can't get rid of Russell Wilson. But for the Raiders, they might have to choose.
Quell said Jonathan Taylor is a bad signal. I'm pretty sure I put Jonathan Taylor on my bad signal last week and they didn't play, so that was on me.
Yeah, speaking of which, the guy that said Jonah Williams needs to show up this weekend, I have bad news.
Oh, is he not playing?
He's literally not going to show up this weekend.
Wow.
They're on bye. But I agree, Jonah Williams does need to step it up.
This week, okay.
He literally is not going to show up.
But it's true. But he does need to step up. Look, maybe he needs to step up during the bye week. Maybe that's what this person was saying.
Get healthy, do what
I
you got to do.
believe he's on pace to break the PFF record for sacks. He's allowed 9 sacks in 9 games. 17 sacks. What was the record, Quinn? Did you know?
No, that could be a question of the day.
Ooh, wow, you just Uno reverse card Quinn.
Yeah.
You gave Quinn a question.
I gave you guys a question of the day.
Do you know what it is?
I do not.
I'm not sure. I actually don't know. I think it was
17.
I think it was 16, I believe. So he's going to be right in the mix.
Okay,
I'll do some
all right,
little
he'll be
research
close there.
over
We need that number to get better, no doubt about it. Gandalf Straight said Kyler Murray. Williams said Cliff Kingsbury. I mean, we're going to get into that. We're going to get into that for sure. Mike said Elijah Moore. I don't even know if Elijah Moore is a thing anymore.
Yeah, Colton Miller gave up 16 back in his rookie year. And I believe that's the PFF record.
And now he's good.
So,
you know what? Hey, look, maybe Jonah Williams is on the right path. Maybe he is on the right path.
This is a rookie year. Yeah, I don't know what happened. Okay. I think he's guard, though, next year. That's what the future holds for Cincy.
Interesting. Okay. Maybe it would be better guard. You get a better tackle in there. Joe Burrow doesn't take as many sacks.
Yeah.
Could be a good thing. Could be a good combination there. All right, there we go. Those are our Bat Signal segments. Thanks to everybody who shouted out a couple of Bat Signal candidates that they want to show up this week. Let's broaden the scope here. We're talking about individual players, but let's get more into the weeds here and let's talk about some matchups. Mike Wynn, you look at this Week 10 slate. Outside of team versus team, or maybe in a more micro view of team versus team, what are some matchups that you're looking forward to? It could be players, could be a coach, could be positional units going up against each other. What's the first one where you're looking at a good matchup this week?
I'm going to the Vikings-Bills game.
Okay.
Where I will be watching the Vikings offensive tackles.
Yep.
Christian Darrisaw, second highest graded offensive tackle in the NFL so far this season. Had a massive breakout year or two. Brian O'Neill, 11th highest graded offensive tackle in the NFL so far this season. Going up against that edge rush. Now, no Greg Rousseau in this one, unfortunately. He's already been ruled out, but you still got Von Miller. You still got Boogie Basham. You still got A.J. Epinesa. That edge trio going up against that tackle duo will be must-see TV because they haven't seen a test like this yet. Those are two damn good offensive tackles, but they haven't seen an edge rush like the Bills can throw at you.
Man, Vikings offensive line really playing well this season.
So interior, Ed Ingram's in pass pro, obviously Garrett Bradbury in pass pro. Like that's probably your worry at the moment. But those tackles, that's why you have a good offense because, not the only reason why, but it's like that can fuel your team because of how well you can just basically hang your hat saying those guys can go one-on-one.
And what you just highlighted could be the difference between one of these teams. Shoot, maybe getting the 1 seed. It's crazy. I mean, we're sitting here thinking, Eagles run it away with the 1 seed. Vikings are 7-1.
Yeah.
If they were to somehow win this game against the Bills, which they very well could, all of a sudden they're sitting there at 8-1. Their toughest test might be behind them. I don't know. It's just I think we're not counting on Minnesota getting the bye as much as we should because they're sitting right there. So I like that one. I'm going to go to the Jacksonville Jaguars versus the Kansas City Chiefs. And I'm looking forward to seeing how the Chiefs linebacker group goes up against what Travis Etienne's been doing. Over the last 5 weeks, we highlighted this earlier in the week. I believe it was on Monday's segment. You go back to week 5. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Travis Etienne has had over 100 yards combined. That is rushing and receiving. I believe he's had, 3 straight weeks of over 100 yards rushing?
Correct.
So this dude has just been an absolute playmaker for the Jags. And if the Jags are really going to be able to hang with the Chiefs offense the way that they're moving the ball, he's going to have to continue to be involved. Now, good news is, for the Chiefs, Nick Bolton's having his best year in coverage. Has really struggled in coverage over the early parts of his career, but he is playing better in coverage as of late. They also have Willie Gay back. Willie Gay, more known for his coverage, but is having a little bit rougher of a year in coverage. Not as well. He's not playing as well in coverage this year as he has been in the past. But I also think that matchup also kind of plays off of how the Jags are going to use Evan Ingram as well, because whichever linebacker is kind of really keying in on Travis Etienne, that means the other one's probably looking at Evan Ingram, and Jags aren't afraid to go to Evan Ingram. 4th on the team in targets, and I feel like they're going to him in some clutch situations, and he's an athletic tight end, so I think that he's going to challenge those linebackers athletically as well. So in that game, which we think the Chiefs are going to be a clear winner here, that's an area where the Jags end up having a lot of success. This game could be a lot closer than a lot of people think. So that's my first matchup. What about you? What's your second one?
My second one, I'm going coaching matchup here, because this one's just too good not to highlight.
Okay.
We've highlighted it all week, and it's Jeff Saturday against Josh McDaniels. Like, that matchup in and of itself, the kind of the exodus that's going on in Las Vegas right now with putting all these players on the IR here. Divine Diablo, Hunter Renfrow, Darren Waller. There's no coming back from these losses, and obviously cutting Jonathan Abram earlier this week, the much maligned safety there that was long overdue. Truthfully, this is not the same team that he thought he was getting when he took the job there. You cannot lose that much talent on the offensive side of the ball and still expect to, you mentioned Derek Carr struggling. You can't expect him to overcome this offensive line with just Devontae Adams. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to this coaching matchup just to see how Jeff Saturday, just to see if they don't completely poop the bed in week one. It looks like it's actually a well-run football team, because truthfully last week, the bar is so low about how poorly they looked a week ago that I'm excited to watch. I'm just excited to watch.
Excited to watch which coach is going to blow it more.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
In this game, that's what I'm hearing from you. That's where we are with that game. I obviously already talked about Derek Carr a little bit, so I don't have to repeat too much of that. I'll go on to my next matchup. Washington's defensive line, the Commanders' defensive line, versus the Eagles' offensive line. We have the Eagles as the highest graded offensive line. Sam Monson does a great job ranking all of the NFL's offensive lines going into each and every week. The Eagles are still his number one offensive line, and so this is a unit that is fueling what that team has been able to do on offense, and they've got a good test this weekend. Washington, last 4 weeks, the Commanders' defensive line, 77.1 pass rush grade. That is second in the NFL. They also could get Chase Young back. Could get Chase Young back. He was designated to return. I believe it was before last week's game. Just wasn't ready. They weren't too comfortable with it, but he was getting more work in practice earlier this week. So chance he could be back as well. Anytime that's the case, even with him coming back, that's some extra juice on the defensive line. So it's huge, right? We have yet to, I think, really see Jalen Hurts have his back against the wall and be dealing with constant pressure for an entire game. Washington's defensive line and their front is playing the way that you would think a team might be able to challenge Jalen Hurts in that regard. And that's something that I'm looking forward to as well. Not in the sense that, I'm waiting to see the downfall of Jalen Hurts. I'm not saying that at all. But this is a legit MVP candidate that I want to see take over a game. Not that he has not been playing well. I don't mean that sentence to take anything away from Jalen Hurts. But let's see a game where things aren't going Philly's way. And I would love to see Jalen Hurts in one of those situations, because I think he can overcome it, but I'd love for him to have that on his MVP resume. So I think that's a big matchup there as well.
All right, my last matchup, we are going Tariq Woolen against Mike Evans, because you may not find a longer cornerback versus wide receiver duo in NFL history, possibly. You got a 6'4", 205-pound Tariq Woolen with 33 5/8-inch arms, going up against a 6'5", 231-pound Mike Evans with 35 1/8-inch arms, which is fucking ridiculous for a wide receiver, honestly. So, about as long a matchup as you'll get. Now, Tariq's exclusively right cornerback in that defense. Mike Evans lines up all over, but majority of his snaps, when he does, if there is one position he takes the most snaps of, it is left wide receiver. So we'll get to see that matchup about half the plays in this one, and that's length versus length. And I'm excited to see it.
They do move Mike all around the in that offense. He's not just somebody who only plays on one side of the line of scrimmage. But I do think that we're going to get Woolen matched up against him quite a bit.
Yeah.
Maybe not as high of a percentage as that, because I think the Bucs are also smart and they realize that
that's not the matchup.
We don't have to put Mike Evans against Tariq Woolen. We could probably go somewhere else with it. I think Tariq Woolen's going to see more of Chris Godwin than he is Mike Evans, but I do believe that you're right. I think the broadcast and everything, those cameras are going to be looking. Whenever Mike Evans and Tariq Woolen are lined up against each other, that's just going to be a feat that people are going to want to see. So I think that that's a major matchup as well. I definitely agree with you there. Last one that I have. I got Cliff Kingsbury versus his own future. Okay? That is a major matchup that we have coming up this weekend. Cardinals lost 4 of their last 5 games. Not looking good. Not pretty. Their next 3 games, they've got the Rams this weekend, but then it's the Niners and the Chargers. Those are not 3 easy games. And in fact, I would tell you the easiest one is this weekend. This is the easiest one. If they drop this game, then there's a good chance that they could lose to the San Francisco 49ers, who I think are a much better team than them, and then the Los Angeles Chargers the next week. If that happens, they will have lost 5 games in a row. They will have lost 6 of their last 7, or is it 7 of the last 8? One of those. It's not going to be pretty. The offense, you're seeing EPA per play. They're not even top half of the NFL in offense right now. They're also an undisciplined team. They're 6th in total penalties. They're 3rd in penalties accepted against them. This team is going the wrong direction drastically. I don't know if the ownership there, if Steve Keim, if I don't know if they're in a position to fire Cliff Kingsbury in season, but I will say that if they don't win this weekend, I think Cliff's done, because I don't know where the other wins are going to come from to be able to salvage what a bad year this is going to be. If they lose this next game, I genuinely think there's a better chance that they lose than they win over the next 2 weeks as well. That makes it 5 in a row. Whenever you get on that downward slope of momentum, not great, man. You lose 7 of 8, that's a sour taste in everybody's mouth, and it already doesn't look great with the communication, the frustrations, everything in Arizona. So I genuinely think the matchup I'm looking forward to this weekend is Cliff Kingsbury versus his own future. Can he turn it around here?
Yeah, hand up, I have not watched the first episode of Hard Knocks, debuted this week. Cardinals in season. If they lose this week, though, that's going to turn into some must-see TV, Hard Knocks, because that is going to be classic finger pointing time, blaming time. It's already kind of there.
Did you see the clip?
The clips. Yeah.
Did you see the clips?
Yeah. It's already getting to that point, but it's gonna push over the edge, and it's not gonna be pretty. It's gonna be great for us, not good for them.
It wasn't like the there was a promo clip that was going around for. Is this technically Hard Knocks, or is it the All or Nothing thing?
It's Hard Knocks.
Okay, so there was a preview for the Hard Knocks, and I felt like it was one of the Cardinals players like doing a yoga pose, for like 10 seconds, and then it was just like Hard Knocks, like, the regular season with the Arizona Cardinals. And that's a hilarious thing to watch now with the Cardinals for how not peaceful it is, how frustrating it is, and how the finger pointing is out there, and DeAndre Hopkins is getting on. Look, that stuff happens on the sideline all the time, right? We're not just saying that it's only the Arizona Cardinals that have these kinds of outbreaks and guys raising their voice and getting each other's face. That's football. That happens all the time. But when it happens all the time and all you do is lose, not ideal. That's definitely not ideal. Is there any other game that stands out to you? I'm looking at the schedule right now. Anything that we didn't touch? We touched a couple of I already said that Broncos-Titans, something I'm looking forward to. I feel like the Broncos need to win that game. Broncos-Titans might be 7-5 final score.
Yeah.
It might be. That might be 7-5. I don't know who's going to score 7. I don't know who's going to score 5, but yeah, that one's going to be low scoring. Is there another one? Any other ones that stand out to you?
Packers Cowboys. I just
sure.
Last gas for the Packers. They don't stand up there and get a win. Real nail in the coffin. Real over for the season. I will also highlight. I think Lions-Bears will just be fun because they're going to score probably both like 35 points in that game.
An absolute barn burner between the Detroit Lions and the Chicago Bears. Who would have seen that coming at the beginning of the season? I do agree that that's actually going to be a fun game to watch with a lot of implications there beyond just them being divisional opponents. All right, we do this every single Friday. We get our good friend and colleague Ian Hartitz in on the show. If you guys are in the chat and you got fantasy football questions, some start sit, and some questions with your own lineup, you can fire them off in the chat right now. We will get to all of that once we get past Ian's guaranteed start and sit players. Ian, how are we doing today, my friend?
Took a while to get over Cordero Patterson, only getting 6 touches in the course of a 60-minute football game, but I've gotten some sleep. It's still a great day to be great. We'll move on, watch the film, and get better.
Did you see, I don't know if you saw this, but yesterday on the show, we did a betting segment. and I saw that Cordarrelle Patterson's over-under receiving yards total was 7.5. And I said on this very show, quote, it's free money for the over. And did he get it? Absolutely not. Did I get old takes exposed on both Twitter and Instagram? Yes, I did. So we are indeed turning the page. Moving on to the next one. I think Arthur Smith is getting exposed as well on that one. But Ian, let's get to some of the players that you are saying are must-starts in their situations this week. I'll start with the Buccaneer. I'll go with Chris Godwin. You've got Chris Godwin on this list. What do you love with Chris Godwin about this early Sunday matchup against the Seahawks in Munich?
Yeah, I'll get you out of bed, for that 9:30 game and just be ready to watch football for like 12 hours straight instead of 9. But with Godwin this year, look, we didn't even know when he was going to be healthy really to start the season. And for him to play as much as he did before hurting his hamstring in week 1 really was surprising to see. But obviously that happened. He comes back in week 4, fully healthy, full-time role, all is well in the world. Since then, only Tyreek Hill has more targets in the entire NFL. So it's almost surprising that Godwin and Evans haven't blown up a little bit more, because really it's been a lot more condensed target share than I think any of us expected going into the year. So I get it. Buccaneers offense, I don't need to tell you, Trev, hasn't exactly been hitting on all cylinders this season, but I do think the Brady arm strength is still there and the volume is there for Godwin and Evans alike. So I know we haven't gotten to hits just yet, but especially in full PPR, way too much volume on the table to consider sitting Chris Godwin at this point.
So you have DeAndre Swift as a sit. I have him on my only 2 fantasy teams that I'm a part of. I also have Jamal Williams on both of my only 2 fantasy teams that I'm a part of. Why is Swift a sit this week?
You got to be in 22 leagues like me, man. Then you're just numb to everything. You have every player and you're playing against everyone. But yeah, with Swift, man, I just don't trust Dan Campbell. I mean, at this point, he said last week that they were going to get him out there, see what happens. And Swift turned his only 5 touches into 50 yards. He looked much better than he did the week before. Just didn't matter. Not only Jamal Williams, but even Justin Jackson, guys that they're willing to play over Swift right now. So maybe, at the time of this recording, obviously doing this on Friday morning, I checked the injury report. He has been limited in practice both days. If he gets in a full practice on Friday and no injury designation, I'll consider moving up the ranks. But at this point in time, Swift can be incredible, averaging 10 yards per touch when you're getting 4 or 5 touches per game. Just not enough volume for us to feel at all confident about putting him up there. So for me, Swift, RB3, that's behind, again, just a bunch of guys that I'm more confident are going to see double-digit touches.
This is an actually early starter sit question from the chat, but it goes into one of the players that you have as a start this week. You have Allen Lazard as a start this week, and one of the questions that somebody in the chat has is Josh Palmer over Allen Lazard. So I'll let you talk a little bit about Allen Lazard and then maybe what you think about those 2 guys.
Yeah, I do have Lazard right there a little bit ahead of Palmer. I think they're both top 24 options, so pretty good problem to have right there. But credit to Lazard. I mean, he's only had the 1 game where he hurt his shoulder. That's the only time all year that he hasn't scored or gone over 100 yards in a football game. So I think coming into the year, there's a lot of questions about Christian Watson, Romeo Doubs, even Sammy Watkins. Like, can these guys actually, be enough of a problem for Lazard not to have, that dominant target share? And guess what? They all got hurt at this point. So there really isn't anyone else for Rodgers to go with the ball. Similarly to Josh Palmer over there in Los Angeles right now. So very close question. I certainly don't think you'd be crazy for going with Palmer, but give me Lazard in this one.
Should we get some start sit?
Yeah, you want to fire them on?
All right, start sit from the chat. First one here. We'll go Rondale Moore, Chase Claypool, or Cortland Sutton. It's from David.
Ooh, I'm going Rondale Moore here, guys. The 2 duds he's had were absolutely coincided with A.J. Green being out and Robbie Anderson not being in Arizona. And you can say, why do A.J. Green and Robbie even matter at this point? Because having them on the outside at least gives Rondale that high volume slot role. He's caught at least 6 passes every single game he's had that. So Cortland Sutton, guys, last month, 3 games, 50 scoreless yards. Come on, Cortland.
Gosh, jeez. All right. Well, I mean, along that same lines, TJ asked this one. Ian, he said your name to personalize it so I would notice it. Can I trust Melvin Gordon?
No, absolutely not. I mean, look at this offense. It was like a breath of fresh air for them to score 21 points in London a few weeks ago. I mean, it's just been not even bad. Like, literally one of the bottom 5 offenses in the entire league. And even before Javonte Williams got hurt, he was having a hard time getting to 50% snap rate. So Melvin and Latavius has been a toss-up pretty much every week. And, oh, yeah, they added Chase Evans to the mix. So we're looking at a 3-back committee and a bad offense. And I believe Melvin is still PFF's single lowest graded rusher this year. Hasn't been a great season for him. No, you cannot trust Melvin Gordon with any level of confidence. He's a deep RB3 for me.
Here's one for rookie running backs. We got Kenny Walker or Damian Pierce.
Ooh.
Like that.
Good problem to have. I'm going to go with Kenneth Walker. Just more, they have pretty similar roles. I mean, now the guy is going to catch the 5 to 6 passes that you kind of hope for. We're going to see a little more Rex Burkhead and Travis Homer than we prefer. That said, Seattle versus Houston, I think we're pretty clearly going with Geno and company. So give me Walker with that one.
I already know your thoughts on Rondale Moore because you talked about them before, but in a little bit of a different situation, Rondale Moore versus George Pickens and Curtis Samuel as well. Who would you be going with? Still Moore or one of those other guys?
I think in standard, maybe even half PPR, you could talk about the other guys, but full PPR, I still just think Rondale has, too high of a target floor. Maybe maybe Kyler Murray gets ruled out here. I don't know. He was able to get a limited practice yesterday, so no Kyler could change things there, but give me Rondale. Guys, I do think we could see Deontay and Pickens start to have a little bit of a, good second half stretch here. You could not have scripted a worse schedule for Kenny Pickett to come out. I mean, comes in at halftime against the Jets, has to go into Buffalo, gets concussed against Tampa Bay, was in Philly. His easiest game was a night matchup in Miami coming off a concussion that ended up being filled with rain by the fourth quarter. So you take Claypool out of that equation, a little bit more condensed there for 2 wide receivers that we still know are really good at football in Deontay Johnson and George Pickens.
You got one more?
Yeah, here we go. This guy says pick 2. This is Dylan. Says running backs are DeAndre Swift, Najee Harris, and Khalil Herbert.
Oh, man, that's a brutal one. Yeah, I'm going to go Najee still. We had some murmurs about Jaylen Warren potentially taking a step forward, but then they asked Warren if his practice stuff has been changing, and he said not really. So I think Najee for at least another couple of weeks is still going to be getting that not very inefficient, but volume nonetheless. And then it was between Herbert and Dylan. I'd probably have to go Herbert at this point. It does sound like Aaron Jones, who's been able to practice limited fashion all week, will be out there. And at that point, I mean, we're kind of looking at Herbert versus Dylan, pretty similar workloads, and it's sad to say, but I'll take the Bears rushing offense over the Packers at this point when it's not Jones getting the ball.
All right, last one. A couple of people have brought up Greg Dulcich's name throughout this entire show, not just for this segment. So Nathan asked a question involving him. He said Cade Otton or Dulcich here in this one, and then just some overall thoughts on Dulcich's situation.
Yeah, I have them right next to each other. I am going with Greg Dulcich. 3rd most receiving yards in NFL history by a tight end in their first 3 career games. So a little bit of that has been kind of fluky. I mean, he had, I think, a touchdown, another big game down the one where pretty much got lost in coverage. But you know what? When he does have the every down role that he's been given there in Denver, those are the type of things that happen to full-time players out there. So Dulcich, really more of a receiver, than a tight end. Something that, I was able to learn from Mike's wonderful PFF draft guide before he even started playing in the NFL. So I do think Dulcich gets the nod. It would not be close if we do see Cameron Brate come back into the picture. I haven't exactly seen where his status is with the injury report this week. So, Trev, is Cameron Brate going to be back this week? Because if Otton has that full-time role, it's close. If not, then it really isn't.
I don't even know. I haven't even checked.
Okay. We'll find out at 5.
Somebody said, okay, the latest is that Cam Brate did return to practice. So
yeah, so definitely Dulcich then.
Yeah, then I think you're rolling with Dulcich there. All right, Ian, you're the best, my friend. Thank you so much for joining us. You do every single Friday, helping the people out with their fantasy leagues. Appreciate it, brother. Have a good weekend.
Indiana's so dead. See you guys.
Indiana is so dead.
Indiana is indeed so dead against the Ohio State Buckeyes is, of course, what he is referencing there. Hey, we got a shout-out from the draft guide.
Yeah, dude, I love that. The man.
Little draft plug there. All right, let's get some people out of here on some bold predictions. Mike, when you look at these games, we sent out the bat signal. We talked about some matchups. We went up and down the schedule a little bit. What is your bold prediction for Week 10 in the NFL?
I'm going to have to do it. I called it once this season already. I'm calling it again here. Aaron Rodgers will get benched at some point in the next 3 games. Maybe not this week. Obviously, they're playing the Cowboys. Chances are, obviously, they're not favored. 4.5-point dogs in it. Probably not going to win the way the offense has looked. But if the offense doesn't figure it out against the Cowboys defense, that's going to be tough to figure it out against. Against the Titans defense on Thursday night in a short week, that's going to be tough to figure it out against. And then the Eagles defense the next week, that's going to be tough to figure it out against. They're going to be 3-9. The season's going to be over. And there's no real reason to keep playing Aaron Rodgers, subject him to injury that could go into next season. I think you sit him at that point. I think he's going to get benched at some point in the next 3 weeks.
They're not going to bench
Aaron
Rodgers. They're paying him $50 million a year.
Yeah.
They're not going to put him on the bench. Maybe they should.
If
you nailed this take, this is gold. What was the other take? You nailed the Matt Ryan.
A week after.
Oh. If they bench Aaron Rodgers, you automatically become the QB bench whisperer.
Yeah, bench whisperer.
Yeah, you're the bench whisperer.
You don't want to get my bad side.
Right.
NFL QBs.
All of a sudden, NFL QBs like start paying you to not say it. Like you start getting money on the
Gifts
side.
showing up at my door.
All right, here's what I got. Bold prediction. I actually did not check what the line was for this game, so I have to check it to make sure that it's an actual bold prediction here.
2-point line.
It's a 2-point line?
No, I'm kidding.
Okay. It's a 4.5-point line.
Bold.
But I'm saying the Houston Texans beat the New York Giants.
Oh, no.
In New York.
We're already called Giants haters here.
I think. No, what are you talking about? I love it. I'm a big Giants guy.
Well,
No. Look, I'm a big Giants guy, but I think the NFL margin of victory is too small. The margin of defeat is too small. Any team can win any given week. Texans have only won once so far this year. They tied against the Colts. It was a tight, contested matchup early in the year. And the Giants aren't really a team that blows these opponents out. They're not. They keep things decently close. So even if the Giants are having a good game, even if the game plan is going according to plan, it's not like the scoreboard's going to be out of control. So maybe the ball bounces one way, they get an extra turnover here. Davis Mills actually looks really good.
He is really good.
I'm saying, stop. I had to listen to people in the comments tell me that the Texans don't have to look at quarterback at the top of the draft.
That's too
and I'm
far.
like, you guys, you got to, because we're at the point of the year where if you were picking in the top of the draft order, people are like, yeah, okay, like Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, all that. But what if they trade back? And I'm like, stop.
Yeah, that's
no, we're not doing that.
Can I just go off on a little tangent real quick? Because I'm going to go off one anyway.
Okay.
When you say people get mad when you give a team picking, at this point in the season, that's picking 2 or 3 a quarterback when maybe they have a quarterback already. Mm-hmm. It's like if things went so bad in probably whoever these quarterbacks are, year 2, year 3, whatever this quarterback playing, that they're drafting number 2 or 3 overall. Yes, you should still be in the mix for a quarterback. Mm. It's like, then what are you banking on? It's the idea that they're only drafting there at the end of the season, come next April, if they went 3-14 or 4-13, and then at that point your quarterback probably was part of the problem if you did. So that's the reason why you give quarterbacks to those teams in mock drafts. I'm sorry. Okay. Go ahead.
Go off, King. Go off. This is your platform to do it,
yeah.
And I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you for getting you that off your chest.
Thank you.
Therapeutic. That's what this show is. Mike says Daniel Jones 2 fumbles in this upcoming game. That could be the difference.
Probably.
Houston coming away with the dub.
1 fumble's like a shoe-in, right?
Right. I don't know what the over/under is. I don't know. We'd have to check PFF Green Line, but I'm not sure what it is. People are talking about how this is just going to be an absolute slugfest of a game. Dameon Pierce, 150 yards on the ground. Saquon, 150 yards on the ground. Daniel Jones, 100 yards on the ground. It's just going to be an absolute rushing fest for the ages. But you know what? Bold prediction. I think the Texans take the dub this weekend. Bro Throw Throwdown.
Bro Throw.
It's time. We said at the top of the show, we wanted you guys to go over to brothrow.com/PFF, put on a bet, and somebody here on the show might take it. Mike, I don't know. Do you see a bet over at brothrow.com that you like? I see one here. Patrick, and he put one in last week too. I don't know if anybody took him on the bet, but Patrick put a $5 bet in for the Seahawks +3. Ooh, that's juicy. Oh man. Ooh. I've already bet Eli. You know what? I'm gonna take this bet here. I'm gonna take Eli's bet. It's at the very bottom. I'm literally gonna take it live right now on the show. $10. Because Eli got me, I think 2 weeks ago. And I had to pay up, and I wasn't happy about it, so I got to get revenge.
You want the Broncos here.
I got to get revenge. Look, I said that it's time. I put up the bat signal
for
Russell Wilson. I'm taking the bet. Live on the show, boom. I'm taking the bet here. This was going to go off the board. But we're going to be looking at these bets up until kickoff. So if you guys don't have a BroThrow account, go over to brothrow.com/PFF. Get in the group. It's fun. It's a lot of people who watch and listen to this show faithfully. Those are the ones who are betting in these groups. You can see on the tab, you can see the groups with PFF and with It's Just Football. All of the bets that are just for this show, listeners to this show, you can see them in that category. So it's a cool way to get involved with people in the chat. I obviously just took Eli, so come Monday, I'm going to be talking some smack, just like I did with trivia yesterday, because I was in his head. It's a good week for me, and I think we're going to end well as well.
Yeah,
so here we go.
It's a good week.
That's what I'm going with. Quinn, can we have an answer for question of the day? Actually, can we revisit question of the day before we before we.
Packers record against Cowboys. I'm saying 21-16, Green Bay. Final answer.
You got one, Trev?
You said 21?
21. I might be underestimating my boys.
24.
If it's higher than 21,
Going 24.
I feel like a dick.
Going 24.
Mike was close. It's 20.
Oh!
2017.
Ooh.
Damn.
That's close enough.
Yeah.
That's a good number. It's right above 500. You said it was going to be above 500, but you mentioned how well the Cowboys played in the 90s, and so that makes sense.
I was at one of those where they lost in the 90s, where I think it was Chris Bonio set the record for field goals in a game. How about that?
What was it?
I think it was
6?
7.
7?
He had 7 in a game, right? Maybe it was 6. I don't know. It's back late 90s.
I got another one too. This one actually was almost the question of the day. I was going to say who is in the PFF era, who is the highest graded offensive player from a Cowboys-Packers game? You guys care to take any guesses? Minimum 10 snaps.
Highest graded offensive player from a Cowboys-Packers game.
Yeah, in the PFF era. So 2006, right?
Yeah.
Jordy Nelson.
Jared Cook.
Negative.
I thought Jared Cook just after that one playoff game.
Clay Matthews.
Did he say offensive?
Offensive.
Oh,
player.
offensive. Sorry, Clay Matthews.
And maybe he got a touchdown.
Clay
I don't
Matthews
know.
playing fullback.
It is a fullback.
John Kuhn?
John Kuhn.
Oh, see,
98.1.
I had the right mindset. I was right there. I'm counting that as a half win. I'm going to count that as a half win as we get out of here. Do we have a chat champ for the weekend?
Drummer TF1. Shout out Drummer.
Drummer TF1 was in the chat early and often. Got big into the chat throughout the show, throughout the bat signal, the matchups, everything. Drummer TF1, congrats on being chat champ. Wearing the crown for the weekend. You know what that means. That means that you got to be here in the chat for Monday morning show. Monday is always jam-packed. We always got a lot to talk about. You got to represent the chat as we kind of go through what will be in Week 10 of the NFL. I'm very excited for tonight. Mike mentioned it. We're going to be on the sidelines of the Cincinnati Bearcats ECU Pirates game, cheering on the local team. It's going to be a lot of fun. Well, maybe a little bit of content coming from the sideline. Maybe a little bit of content. TBD on the content. We'll see. Probably depends how much it's raining, but hopefully it clears up. Hopefully it's a fantastic game. Hopefully you guys have a great weekend, whether you're watching college football or NFL football, no matter what it is. We're going to be back right here on this desk Monday morning to talk about it all. For Trevor Sikkema, that is Mike Renner. For everybody in the production portal, thank you guys so much for watching Issues Football. We'll see you Monday morning. Have a good weekend.
It's not about politics, it's about football.
This is a simple game.
We're going to run the ball, and we're going to pass the ball. He's just going to play football, really.
How good of a football player are you?
Not just get it and try to spin it. That's all.
I just love the game.
It really is the best time of the year.